Welcome to another episode of the Camper Report. This is one of the first 49ers streams I've done in a while. I've obviously been posting some football content on them, but we're back. We're back. Obviously, we've got Niners news from the first week of training camp. Joining us to break it down is Niner Gang Podcast. I'm gonna first ask you, since it's your first time on the show, how did you become a Niners fan? Backstage, you were telling me a really cool story about that. How did you become a Niners fan? And where can people reach you? Where can people find you? And yeah, just share kind of those things, I guess.
Of course. So my name is Dion, and it was 1985. Man, Jerry Rice caught a touchdown pass from Joe Montana. I was a kid. My mom didn't teach me teams; she taught me colors. I saw the red; it popped, and I liked it. And when I saw that TD pass from Montana to Rice, I was sold ever since. I've always loved the Niners, even through the ups and the downs. We had the 80s were our glory years, and believe me, man, I've been watching for a very long time. But if you're on Twitter or whatever it's called now, there's just an
X.
It's at SwiftD. That's SWIFTDEE. You can find me on YouTube, Niner Gang Podcast. Yeah, man. If you're on Instagram, I'm 49er_Dion. And that's DEON. But yeah, been loving the Niners since 85, man. It ain't changed.
Yeah, the dark years 2-14, I felt like quitting being a fan. Not sure why we ever hired Chip Kelly in the first place, but you know what? We're with a good resume now. But yeah, so guys, before we get into the topics tonight, I do want to kind of announce a little bit. I haven't announced this yet, but I'm hoping in the next few weeks I can get a longer stream. I want it to go for like 12 hours, but it's going to be up there. It's going to be from maybe it's the longest maybe it's going to be is like 12 hours, and then it could be 6, whatever. It's just going to be a long stream. There's going to be a lot of fun activities in there, a lot of cool guests around the Niners content like community. And then there's also going to be guests around the NFL, Giants guests, just whatever I can find. So it's going to be basically a streamathon with a bunch of guests. And then there's going to be an auction at some point during that stream. Most of the sales made from the auction will be probably going to charity. But you see right here, this is a 1982 newspaper article, I guess, that came out the day after the Niners won the Super Bowl. And so that's kind of cool. I got it from my dad's friend about 7 years ago. I've had it ever since. So that's something that will be auctioned off in that auction. So that was something that I kind of wanted to get out there before we started this show. But let's start the show, though. We're talking about Brock Purdy a lot during 49ers training camp. And obviously we've heard stuff out of training camp that he might, I mean, he's doing good, but you know, the arm is not fully back. He's not fully back. The arm strength obviously might not be there as much as it was last year. But I mean, I guess, you know, shout out to Ted Talks Ball. He's a great 49ers content creator, but he tweeted today something that said, you know, Brock Purdy got blown out in the NFC Championship game and yada, yada, yada. And obviously I've seen a few other people, like, you know, tweet stuff that would indicate that Purdy maybe, you know, Mike, to get to the point, my question to you is, are Niners fans kind of forgetting and taking for granted what Brock Purdy did for us last year?
I don't believe so. The fan base is actually thoroughly divided from what I've seen. You've got people that love Trey Lance and want him to start. You've got people that love Brock Purdy and want him to start. You know, heck, you've even got some people clamoring for Sam Darnold of all people, and we know he definitely isn't worth anything. But I don't think that they're taking Brock for granted. I just think that it's just taking them a little bit of time to get back. And I mean, you're coming off an injury. You're not going to just walk in and magically be throwing, perfectly and completing every pass and looking great. Honestly, I look at Purdy in the situation of hesitation, only because, yes, it was nice what he did last season, and it was great that you won those 2 playoff games. But can you do that again? Mm-hmm. Now that teams have film on you, they know what you do, they see what you can do, they know some of your tendencies. Can you repeat that? But to answer the question, simply put, I don't believe that's the case. I believe it's just a divided fan base as of right now. And you've got people that are, wanting Purdy to start. I do believe he is the starter, even though Kyle hasn't stated it. It's just the way that Kyle acts and the way that he talks. Everything has pointed to Purdy being the guy. You're giving him most of the first team reps. You've never really backed Trey Lance like that outside of last year saying he was the starter. So, and then Sam Darnold just got here. So there's no way you're going to put a guy who just got here and who has 55 games worth of tape to show you that he's not worth a dime, and you're going to put him in and he's going to magically be the starter and he beats out Lance and Purdy.
Yeah.
And then Brandon Allen has no shot. He's just going to wind up on the practice squad. So I think, honestly, our 3 quarterbacks will be Brock Purdy, Trey Lance, and Sam Darnold. Sam Darnold is going to be the inactive guy that doesn't count against the roster per the new rule. And if God forbid, we need to go to Sam Darnold because we don't want any more quarterback injuries. But I do see that's how it's shaking out.
Yeah, and you were talking about kind of Kyle Shanahan and how his that whole situation, we'll probably get into it in the next topic because we have something very similar. But that whole situation, I don't know if you remember, but last year with Trey Lance and kind of what happened there is I don't even remember even maybe until almost week 1, Kyle saying that, and it was clear that Trey Lance was the starter. Yeah. But I never remember. So he's not a very assertive guy. What I will say about Brock Purdy is guys that come back from this type of injury, it takes them a while to come back. It takes them a year to come back fully to the level of play. And I guess since we've heard that response, these kind of questions go hand in hand. What I will say is, obviously, Purdy with the arm. The 49ers, we've said that, this team is a must-win team. We've said that their window is 1 to 2 years. George Kittle even acknowledged it. The thing is a lot of people want to make the argument that Brock Purdy, gives them the chance to win now. But I'm saying from what we've seen so far in training camp, now he could get better, but from what we've seen in training camp so far, he's not ready, obviously. But this severe of an injury will probably take a year to get back in full form. And the 49ers don't have that kind of time, especially with Trent Williams talking about retirement now every year. And so they don't have that kind of time to do that. And so as far as experience goes, yes, maybe Brock Purdy gives you the best chance. But health-wise, I just don't think the 49ers can sit around and wait for his arm to get fully back to health. And that's my concern. So my question to you, we've heard how good Trey is doing in training camp so far. Is it right for Kyle to give Purdy all the first-team reps and none to Darnold? And I should have put in Trey as well.
Yeah. Honestly, I don't feel it's right. At a bare minimum, I feel like if you were truly doing a real quarterback competition, as you say you were, then you need to split the reps between Lance and Purdy. You need to give them equal opportunities to actually do it. And this is another reason why I see that Purdy is the starter. Because if you were really going to give Trey Lance a chance, you would split those reps between him and Brock. I'm sorry. Sam and Brandon don't deserve any reps. Y'all deserve to get the scraps that's left over, man.
Yeah.
The 2 Lions need to be the ones out there, going with the first team and whatnot. So I don't believe that that's fair. I feel like it's unfair, and you're not giving Trey Lance a shot at all by doing so. Like if I'm my thing is, if I'm Trey Lance, I'm wondering why I'm splitting reps with Sam Darnold and Brandon Allen in any way, shape, or form. I know this playbook. out of all three of these quarterbacks, I'm the guy that's been here. I'm the guy you wouldn't spend all that capital on. So somebody explain to me how you went and did all that for me, and you went up to draft me, but now you saw what you saw from Brock Purdy, and I'm an afterthought. You preach literally. You can't lose your job to injury. Look what you did to Jimmy Ward. When he came back, you gave him an ultimatum: ride the bench or play nickel. Make your choice. That's and what you're doing to Trey Lance right now is basically saying you got injured. Oh well.
Well, and that's true. I think though I do like Lowell Cone on the whole Cone Zone thing, and I was watching that today. And I don't want Grant Cone to be the main voice of what I speak, but his dad did make a very good point. I like how Kyle is finally being kind of decisive and was saying, okay, this is the guy we're going with until proven otherwise. And if Purdy, I think Kyle obviously going into this year was like, okay, we've got Trey Lance. We don't know what's going on with him. Like back in March, he was like, we got Trey Lance. We don't know what's going on with him. We just signed this new guy who I could maybe resurrect his career. And then we've got Purdy coming off of the injury. So he really obviously had no idea what was going to happen. But what I like is that he's giving the guy who's proven the most the first shot at it. And then most likely if he plays in week 1, I think if he plays in week 1 and Purdy doesn't play well, then he'll give Trey, most likely Trey, who knows the system the most. Like you said, I think you need to go with the guy who knows that system, who has been in it for a while, because I've said this millions of times. A while back, I don't know who it was, said it takes 2-3 years to fully understand Kyle's playbook, you know? So you need to go back to, I mean, Trey obviously knows the system more, and I think, you know, Trey has played better than Darnold in camp so far. So I think with Trey, it's like everyone wants him to start now, start getting the reps now, but it's only been 1 week. We still got a few weeks. We still got preseason, which we will talk about, and we'll see. But yes, the 49ers might start off slow in the season, but if they do, I don't think it's going to take more than 2-3 weeks for the 49ers finally to make that switch. And if the Niners win with Brock Purdy, great. Now, my question to you is how many, so if Brock Purdy, obviously we have we have the Steelers who are a sleeper team. I haven't looked at the rest of the schedule, but if Brock Purdy at first does really good in the season and then midway through, like week 5, 6 starts to struggle a little bit, how fast does it take for the Niners to make that switch to quarterback then? If they have to do it middle of the season?
They won't do it.
Yeah.
Kyle's not going to come off of Brock Purdy. The difference is Kyle sold. He saw what he needed to see. Purdy literally did way better than Jimmy Garoppolo did. He literally went out there, lit it up, and didn't lose a game. Now, mind you, yes, there were a couple of throws here and there that happened, but I mean, I get it, you know. But I can say that for me, when I look at it, the only way that Brock Purdy winds up getting pulled is if it starts to look like a daunting task for us to make the playoffs, and he's just playing horribly. Other than that, I don't see Kyle snatching him out of the game going, hey, man, you're not cutting it. We got to go ahead and throw in Trey.
Right.
Only way I can see that is if he's like, if in the first 4 weeks, Kyle is, if the first 4 weeks of the season, we go 1-3 and Brock looks bad, at that point, I think that's the only time you'll see him make that change, because it's going to be like, look, that's a quarter of the season gone. We've only got 1 game under our belt. Like, this isn't good. We notoriously start slow under Kyle. We just do. And honestly, I think Purdy's got a longer leash than Trey Lance will ever have.
Well, and you look at the first 4 games of the 49ers schedule, and it's Steelers, Rams, Giants, Cardinals. I mean, okay, the Steelers might be a good team, but I think there are weaknesses. Their offensive line, that's a big unknown. They obviously drafted a guy middle of the first round from Georgia. He was a tackle, but their offensive line isn't great. And I don't know. I would assume although it is in Steelers, Stadium. But let's just say we win that one. I mean, Rams and Cardinals most likely are wins. So there is a good chance you could see Brock Purdy, even if he plays very, very mid quarterback play, we still go 3 for 4 in those first 4 games. And then Kyle's like, well, why not? Why switch it? So that's where I think the 49ers could be caught in that trap. And although the 49ers never start fast, so it could be that we struggle in all of those games and he makes the switch very easy. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. I mean, I honestly feel like he's seen what he needed to see from Brock, and he has enough faith to leave him in there, even when he's struggling. It's basically like, sink or swim at this point. Though I love what Trey Lance brings. I love the upside that Trey Lance has. I just don't feel like Kyle actually cares. I think he's seen what he's seen from Brock, and that's all that matters to him. The scary part is if this season were, God forbid this season go awry, Kirk Cousins is a free agent next year. And we all know that's Kyle's man crush. So I don't want to see Kirk Cousins in the 49er uniform ever because I don't believe in him. And I believe when the lights are on, that's when he disappears. So a lot of people like him because, he's got great stats. But I don't care about stats. I care about wins and playoff wins at that. And Kirk Cousins doesn't have many of those.
I have literally not seen a single person want Kirk Cousins on this team, not a single Niners fan. And I don't know. I'm back and forth. I'm like, in a way, it's like at least you get a guy who's consistent. But although, I mean, who knows if he'll be like consistently healthy on this team. Wild things happen.
Yeah, we have a bad luck with quarterbacks dropping like flies around here. So
that's true. Tommy Huxley coming in, hitting the watching the Giants game. I don't really follow much baseball. Do you?
Yeah, man. I watch the Dodgers and I watch the Braves. Watch both teams. But yeah, Tommy's a diehard Giants fan, and he knows his Giants suck. I always tell him that they're going to be little brother forever to the Dodgers.
So little interesting story before we move on. I actually watched the Giants. I'm not a fan of baseball at all, but I did go. So I live in Colorado, and I was going to this conference in Denver. And as one of like the perks of going, they bought us all Rockies tickets, and they were playing the Giants. By coincidence, the Giants that day. And so I got to watch the Giants secretly on the side. I was surrounded by Rockies fans, and I was like, go Giants, because at least one of my teams is from San Francisco. And so, but yeah, I'm not a huge fan. I do kind of like the descriptions of the players on the big screen or board, where it's like they have some funny descriptions like struck out swinging first base. Anyways, it's
Oh no, that's all right, man. That's cool. That's what you do, man. When you get a chance to be able to go, you just go. Especially if it's free, why not? Give me a free ticket to go. I'm not about to miss that. Which is why I bought that. Like I said, I'm trying to make it every single year. When the 49ers come to Arizona, I'm good because we have chapters everywhere. Everywhere. Like when I first moved out here, I didn't know much about the 49er chapters that were here. And I was like, man, I really want to go somewhere and find, 49er football. Varsity Tavern right on Mill Ave, right up the street from ASU Sun Devil Stadium. We take over that joint. Like it literally is littered with Niner fans in there day in and day every Sunday.
Okay.
AZ Niner, shout out to AZ Niner Empire, man. So they're everywhere, bro. I'm pretty sure you got chapters all over there by you in Colorado as well.
Yeah, probably. I live more western Colorado. It's a lot less populated, probably around the Denver area.
Yeah.
But let's move on. Are there mid-season moves that the Niners will make at any position this year? What are your thoughts on this?
The only mid-season move I see coming, and this is only if this person performs well, it will be a switch at safety. Tayshaun Gibson will be on the bench, and Jair Brown will be the starter opposite of Huff. The reason I state that is because the kid's got a lot of talent. Steve Wilks is here, and we hope that all of our defensive backs become monsters because that's his specialty. That's the guy, that's the DB whisperer, as they say. So we've got a DB whisperer. We've got Chris Kasarik with the D-line, and those things going on. But honestly, that's the only midseason move I see them making. I don't really see them doing much. By that time, unless there's unfortunately injuries and things of that nature. But I can see Jair Brown taking that starting spot from Tayshaun Gibson. Offensively, yeah, I think we stick with what works. If it ain't broke, don't fix it.
So no change at right tackle, you think?
No, I do believe in Colt McKivitz.
Okay.
McKivitz is.
So what's your reasoning? Go ahead.
My reasoning is McKivitz is a great pass protector. Okay. He's not the run blocker that McGlinchey was. I'll give McGlinchey credit for that. He sucked at pass blocking, but he was a great run blocker. So that's where McKivitz has to pick up his strength and be better at. But he's a great pass blocker, and I do believe that Colt McKivitz is going to be able to hold that right side down. They've all but given him that spot. They basically told him, this is your job to lose, so make sure you're doing what you're supposed to do, and we won't have to bench you. Now, of course, yes, if McKivitz is just playing like hot garbage, then, of course, you got to make the move. But I believe in Colton. I think he's going to be all right.
Yeah, and I mean, I know a lot of people are like, yeah, let's just go trade for a right tackle at the deadline. And I'm like, that's really hard to do. And so, I mean, I wish they would have maybe brought in a little bit more competition at that position. But, I mean, I don't think you realize how hard it is to pick up a starting level right tackle at the trade deadline. So, yeah. Another thing is Colton McKivitz obviously been on the team for a while, but he hasn't started a ton of games. He could improve at the run blocking position. If this year he sucks at run blocking, it'll be his first full year starting, and he'll say, okay, going into next season, I need to work on this, building my weight, this, and this. And he should come back because he's only 26 years old, although that is pretty old for a third-year guy, I think. But that's something with him. But here's the move that I could see them making. They have a lot of depth at that kind of corner position. Mm-hmm. I could see them going Daryl Luter outside with instead of Demonjour Lenoir, and then Demonjour Lenoir in the slot, aside from Isaiah Oliver backing out of that position. Position. That's kind of an interesting one that I might throw at you.
Definitely is very interesting.
I think it's Steve Wilkes' first year, and he's still going to kind of get used to this team and the different players that were brought in by D'Amico Ryan's system, and maybe there could be some transitions made by the corners because, again, Wilkes likes the big, lengthy corners on the outside. That's typically been – I mean, he drafted – I think he was the defensive coordinator when the Panthers got J.C. Horn, lengthier corner, and so – I could see him saying, okay, I don't really like this smaller guy out on the outside. Maybe we make some moves here. It's a different regime. A lot of weird things could happen.
Yeah, he's going to have to get that clearance from Kyle because, I go back to what I said earlier. If it ain't broke, don't fix it. Mooney and Demo on the outside looks great to me. Mm-hmm. If Isaiah's got to be in that slot, so be it. I'm rooting for Sam Womack to be in the slot. Reason being, he's a ball hawk. I like a guy who can actually intercept the ball. Knocking it down or just being close and always being on the tackle is nice. But if you can intercept the ball, that gives our offense another chance to score points. Mm-hmm. So for me, honestly, I would say he's going to definitely have to get some serious clearance because of what Deommodore Lenoir did last year. Like he figured it out. And he looked really good while he was doing it. Plus, Darrell Luter Jr. is behind the 8 ball. He's on pup list right now, so he's not doing anything.
That is true.
If you want to make that switch mid-season, he's gonna have to show you something when he actually comes off of that list. If he actually makes the squad, we could try to stash him on the practice squad or something like that. But he's got to get on that field and start showing us what he's worth before a switch like that could be made.
One other one that I was going to throw at you. So Oren Burks has been getting a lot more first-team reps apparently in training camp. What's his name? McCrary Ball. If he has a good preseason, potentially building up to that first starter. I mean, he he's made, I don't know exactly, I don't have the exact notes, but he's made plays in training camp. He seems like he's having a good training camp. Second year could be his breakout year. I don't know. Oren Burks, good special teams guy, but more towards maybe middle of the season. If he's not playing too well, I could definitely, or even beginning, I could see McCrary Ball having such a good preseason. Last year, he was lighting it up. I remember I think it was the Green Bay Packers game. He had a good game. I think it was like a recovered fumble, or maybe it was an interception that game that he had, but in preseason. So I could see him just lighting it up in preseason and taking that starting job as well.
See, I don't believe in Oren Burks. I believe Oren Burks is right where he need to be on special teams. I believe in Marcelino McCrary Ball. I believe in D Winters. Like those are the kind of guys that I'm looking for in that aspect. So for me, I like Oren Burks as a special teamer, but I just don't like him, to play that position opposite Fred and Dre. I believe that Marcelino McCrary Ball will solidify that spot and hold it down. And Burks will wind up, he'll wind up on the team just strictly because of his special teams production. But I guess if you're saying, if you want to go like mid-season or something like that, it would have to be a situation where Burks just flat out outshined McCrary Ball. But I think McCrary Ball's got a solid lock on that spot for the time being, and hopefully he keeps it.
Yeah, for sure. Let's see here. Players that will be a surprise but will make the 53-man roster. What are your I don't know if you've been following it much, and I know these topics kind of came in a little quick because this was kind of a last-minute show, but if you can give us anything on that, that would be interesting as well.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of the guys who could. So Austin Bryant, he makes the team. He was looking really good. He was looking really, really good. I'm going to go wide receiver. The kid out of Michigan. I cannot remember his name.
Ronnie Bell. Yep.
I like that kid. That kid's got he's got some wiggle to him. And I think he's a little better than people are giving him credit for. So I think that dude's going to make the squad. And this guy, Feliciano, the offensive lineman, I think he makes a squad due to his versatility. Kyle loves a versatile offensive lineman. He loves it when you can play more than just guard or more than just center or more than just tackle. Go back to a Niner great, Jesse Sapolo. Literally played every position on the line.
Brunskill the last 5 years, whatever it was.
Yeah, but the only thing about Brunskill was I don't mind him at either guard position. I don't mind him at either tackle position. I hated him at center.
Center.
It was bad.
He was bad. Yeah, I agree. He was bad.
But those guys, Feliciano, Bryant, and Ronnie Bell, I think those three dudes are sleepers to make this squad, man, because you want to make sure that you're providing talent, and you keep Feliciano because of the versatility and what he can do on the offensive line. Bryant, you want to keep because you need to have depth. Because unlike some people, I believe in Drake Jackson. I believe Drake Jackson is going to have a monster year, and I believe he is going to scare offensive linemen. Because go ahead. Yeah, I was saying, if you think about it, just look at the line as presently constructed. Bosa, Hargrave, Armstead, Jackson. Bosa and Drake Jackson are coming off that edge screaming.
It might not be Bosa, though, and I'm just kidding.
yeah, with the contract situation. Go
ahead. Yeah.
That I'll touch on that real quick. We're going to get him signed, people. Don't worry.
Yeah,
it's fine. I do believe that Bosa will get signed. They're right now in this moment, it's, I don't like that incentive. Take that out and give me this. And they're like, okay, we don't like this. Take that out and give us that. It's the tit for tat crap. We all know Bosa's getting paid upwards of $30 million. It's a wrap. He's done too much.
And the thing is like I said this yesterday on a video that I came out with, Bosa, if they were planning on trading him or doing something, why would? Because if you trade him now, your season is like
Yeah, it's a waste.
devastating. And
Yeah, it's dumb.
they should have thought ahead and maybe traded him in March or something, where they
Oh, yeah,
actually
no,
could
if
have
I-
an
if-
instant payout. You know?
If I'm trading a player of Bosa's caliber, oh no, I'm doing that before the draft. You are going to break me off, and you're going to give me at least 2 first-round picks for him at a
Yeah.
minimum. And I'm
Exactly.
looking for some later round picks along with those 2 firsts. Like I am not taking anything less than 2 firsts for Bosa.
Mhm.
Not for the production the guy gives, for the fact that out of 1 year he's been injured, and that was because of that ridiculously crappy
Turf.
MetLife Stadium turf that claimed him and Solomon Thomas in the same game,
Which is now replaced, by the way.
Yeah, because the dude was trash. But that game, we do have I always like to poke fun at Tyreek Hill, and I actually got him to respond to me via a good friend. Yeah, a good friend of mine.
Really?
Yeah, a good friend of mine is friends with some people that play for the Dolphins, and he actually overheard him talking about my tweet, because for years he keeps talking about how fast he is. He's not the fastest man in the NFL. That belongs to his current teammate, Raheem Mostert, who was what? A 49er. Mostert was clocked at 23.09 miles per hour. No one in the NFL has been clocked faster than that. Not even Tyreek Hill. So I'd berated him as much as I possibly could, with reminding him, you're not the fastest guy. You're not the cheetah. Actually, Matt Breida was the cheetah first, and he hit I berated him, and he got my friend. He hit me up, man. He said, "Hey, you really pissed off Tyreek Hill." And I said, "I did?" He said, "Yeah." I said, "Great." He was like, "Why would you say that's great?" I said, "Because I really would love for him to react to the tweet, but I've been reminding him he's not the fastest dude in the NFL. He just isn't. If they put that chip in your shoulder pad and they track your speed, I'm sorry, Mr. Hill, you have not been faster than Raheem Mostert. Nobody has. I know somebody told me that there was a kid in college that got clocked at 24 miles an hour. But if you're not in the NFL, I'm not going to consider that. And believe you me, when you get to the NFL, it's going to be really hard to do that. The only other person I think, and then for me, honestly, if you're that fast, why don't you race somebody like DK Metcalf?
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Well, okay, so going back on top, that is really cool. That is really cool.
It was awesome. It was awesome.
Taco Charlton is the guy I was going to name. Oh, and real quick with Ronnie Bell, I will say real quick on him is he's going to at Michigan. I'm a big Michigan fan. Jim Harbaugh is there. I watch them a lot. His earlier years, he was like their number 1 receiver, but because he couldn't stay on the field, they always had high hopes for him. He just never could stay on the field. Now, since he won't maybe get as much reps with the offense, he could be a developmental piece maybe later on. He'll need some time to develop, but we could see him later on down in the road. But anyways, Taco Charlton, I would really like to see. This is maybe not a guy who will make it, but I would really like to see what the defensive coordinator or Chris Kasarik has to kind of say on that whole defensive line situation, because he can kind of Taco Charlton play both defensive tackle, defensive end. And I would like to see if maybe Kasarik is underwhelmed by who they have, Cleveland Farrell, Drake Jackson, T.Y. McGill, whatever it is. And I'd kind of like to pick his brain, interview him, because that's a position group. I mean, Taco Charlton was pretty good for a few. I mean, he's an older guy, but I don't think he's just a camp body. I really don't think so, because he was, I don't know. I would have to look up the exact stats, but for the Cowboys, he was good for a while. I'd have to look it up, though. So that's another guy.
Yeah, okay. I mean, I'm not mad at Taco. Taco's a good dude. I do like that. And honestly, I do believe that, I would have liked it better if we'd assigned Yannick Ngakoue.
Yeah.
That would have been nice. But then again, that kind of sets back Drake Jackson. So
right.
A little rough. But I'm not going to be mad about it. I do believe that Taco is definitely going to be a really good dude for us, and it's going to work out well. So
he actually hasn't played a ton, because, I don't know, in 2021 he played 33 run defense snaps. And let's see when's the last time he actually has played. Okay, so 2019 he actually didn't play. He actually played snaps, pass rush snaps, 227, and he had 5 sacks in 2019, and his pass rush grades were not great. So, I mean, that's a player I'd heard of, but he's kind of seems like a player that's was good 4 years ago, 5 years ago.
Yeah,
so,
he was, and I think he was a first round pick as well. So a lot of people have faith in him, but we'll see what happens. I don't know. I mean, if he makes it, he makes it. If he doesn't, he doesn't. It's not. I'm not going to lose sleep over it.
Carcast says, "Hey, go check out his channel."
Yeah, definitely so, man. You need to get that kid on, man. He's literally, I think he's right around your age. I think you guys are about the same age, man. You and Carcast have a good show, bro. He's a really, really smart kid.
Yeah. Man, you know who I want to be making content creation again? Amin, man. He needs to get back on
the dream.
Yeah,
that's the homie, man. Yeah, bro. He pops in every now and then. He's got to get back on top of it. I think he might be focused on school and whatnot. But Amin, yeah, that's the little homie, man. Yeah, of course.
Niner Gang Podcast, Sub Carcast, and I guess that's
me. Yeah, I just jumped to the chat to say what's up to everybody. It's all good, bro.
Anyway, I'm stupid. One player on offense and defense that has the most to prove in preseason. I got one.
Okay.
What's his name? The running back.
Jordan Mason?
No, the other one. The other one. Yeah.
Ty Davis Price?
Yeah, Ty Davis Price. There we go. Okay. I don't know why. Ty Davis Price for me is he's a guy fighting. He's on the edge of that roster spot. They'll probably keep 4, but that's a guy. And then I think that whole corner position is going to be definitely exciting for sure because I think there's a hell of a lot more competition. And Ambry Thomas, that's a guy that's where did his ow? I just hit my hand on my other table. Where did his I mean, he was okay in that 1 year or that one stretch, and then he just faded away. So that's a guy who probably won't make the roster, who's on the bubble, and yeah, he needs to prove something in preseason. So
I agree with you. Now the problem for TDP is he was drafted by Kyle.
Yeah,
Kyle fucking drafting running backs. He truthfully does. I'm sorry, his track record has proven that he just does not know how to draft running backs. He is better with undrafted free agents. He finds diamonds in the rough all the time. But when he drafts them, they never work out. Don't believe me, people? Look at the track record. Since we've been here, he's done better with undrafted free agents than anyone that he's brought in as far as drafting. So I could agree that TDP definitely has a lot to prove. Been hearing he's been looking pretty good in camp as well. But I'll say Jordan Mason needs to prove some things too. He's got to make sure he's got that ball security under control. Otherwise, he's going to wind up in Kyle's doghouse. And we all know how that works. You'll never see the field, but from the sidelines. Mm-hmm. On defense, I'm going to say that nickel battle.
Yeah.
Oliver, Sam Womack.
Luter.
Luter. I want to see what these guys have. I want y'all to go out there and show me something.
Can I just say
– that's a very prime position. Go ahead.
Yeah, well, sorry to cut you off, but I just say I don't know why Womack's been buried for this long. This guy lit it up in preseason. I almost thought he was going to be our starting nickel. This position just got deeper.
Mm-hmm.
You have to give this guy a chance. I could see Steve Wilks kind of getting if you're a good defensive coordinator, you get creative with Sam Womack, and there are so many guys on this roster, D. Winter, Sam Womack, that can blitz the quarterback at a high rate, and a few times a game you just dial these guys up and they come flying in. It's what they did with Hufanga last year, but they're even deeper at that speedy blitz position. I don't know. That's just my thoughts how they're going to use.
You hit the nail on the head. I agree with you. That's a really good idea because Womack is fast. He is a great gunner on special teams. And I will tell you this, if you send that young man on a blitz, he ain't going to miss.
Yeah.
He is way too fast off that edge. I'll tell you right now, when I play with the Niners in Madden, I blocked at least 7 field goals in the season with Womack.
Hey, that's nice.
No
That's
lie.
nice.
I swear to you. He comes off that edge quick. All I do is literally hold R2 because I'm a PlayStation guy. I'm not an Xbox guy.
Okay.
But I hold R2 and I blocked at least seven field goals
That's
in
crazy.
one season, and it's insane. Like, he has the speed to be able to do it. I love what he brings to the table, and I feel like if Steve Wilkes gets his hands on him, he already has all the intangibles. Steve Wilkes is just fine-tuning it and turning it into what he would like, and that would be an easier thing. But I do believe in Womack. I do.
Yeah, he's gonna be obviously now. If they do that blitz package, now you'll have Hufanga maybe focusing in coverage. But here's another thing that Hufanga could probably prove: be a better coverage safety. I know he's probably been working on speed in the off season, but he that could be something that he could prove, not preseason because he probably won't be playing much, but definitely regular season for sure. And can I just say, I love that there are no more 4-game preseasons because that was a drag. That whole month of preseason games, ooh.
Yeah,
It's a
it
good
was a
rule.
drag, man. No one, and I mean, like, to be honest with you, the fourth preseason game, nobody really watched. Why? Because it was all backups. These were all guys doing their damnedest to make the squad. Like, the last, like, these are like the bottom of the barrel, guys that we definitely don't expect. So it was like, you've got to do something in that game to wow these coaches. Like, if I'm a DB, that's my favorite position. I love defensive back.
Yeah, me too.
So if I'm a DB and that last preseason game, you know what I'm about to do? Bro, I'm about to show out. I am trying to hawk every ball that comes my way. The person that I'm guarding, I don't want you to catch nothing. I want to intercept every pass that's thrown your way. I want to make it to a point where they go away from me. And then I'm going to look to the sideline and go, let me travel. They're scared. I'm a shark. There's blood in the water. Let me eat. That's what I mean. Those were the things that we would see. But yeah, I agree. That fourth preseason game wasn't really much, man. But hey, gives us an extra game in the season, and I'm happy about it, man. I don't mind watching an extra game. I wouldn't say add any more games to the season because this is a lot on a human being's body. This is not just a walk in the park. It is a lot. Like, year in and year out, maintaining yourself. You hear about these athletes that spend $1 million a year just on maintaining their body.
LeBron James, yeah.
James Harrison when he was playing.
Yeah.
There's lots of guys, man, that spend a ton of bread just maintaining their own body. So it can take a lot of time.
One more guy, Danny Gray. That's a guy that's kind of been brought up a lot by Niners fans. But yeah, that's another dude. I don't know. We'll see. We'll see how he does. But he'll most likely have Trey Lance throwing to him in the first preseason game. So
yeah, I tell you this: Trey Lance makes Danny Gray relevant because without Trey Lance, Danny Gray does nothing because he has to learn to run routes, and that's the key. If he runs routes, then he's okay. But if he doesn't run routes and he's your go ball kind of guy, there's nobody on the team that's going to hit him outside of Trey Lance. The only other person that has close enough to an arm is Sam Darnold, and he's going to be sitting on the bench, not even active. So there's not even a point to even mention his name.
The only time we actually saw Danny Gray was that preseason game when he had that deep catch from Trey Lance.
Yep. I was there.
Yeah.
I was at that game. Okay. That was my first game I ever went to at Levi's. I never got to go to a game at Candlestick, but I did. That was my first game at Levi's. It was preseason versus the Chiefs. And I was fortunate to be able to go. I had 2 tickets. I was going to take my wife, but she wound up not wanting to go. So I lucked out. I was able to bless a young kid with a ticket. His dad's ticket worked, but for some reason the second ticket wasn't working. And for them to buy tickets like right then and there would have been horrendous. So I realized that I saw it. I was like, hey, man, I actually have an extra ticket that I'm not using. It's working fine. And, I just looked at the kid and he just looked at me and he said, thank you so much. This is my first Niner game ever. I'm like, and I hope it's not your last, young man. Go in there and have a great time. And his dad just looked at me and said, thanks, man. I really appreciate you. I was like, hey, don't worry about it, man. I'd pay it forward. If it happens to someone else and you have the opportunity, that's all I ask.
I never have actually been to Levi's. I want to go there one day though. I've been to a Panthers game in Carolina. It was the 2-14 year. And then in Carolina, and then I went to the Cardinals 49ers game. I want to go to a 49ers game when they're actually good.
Yeah. Hey, if you want to do that, make sure you do it this year.
Yeah.
I believe we're going to be really, really, really good, man.
Well, last year I was about to. We had the Broncos 49ers, and I live only like 4.5 hours away from the stadium. So
Oh, there you go.
I was thinking about buying tickets, but then it didn't end up coming to fruition. Although you know what would have been really cool? We're kind of getting off track, but
Oh, you okay?
would have been really cool is John Chapman actually that week was meeting with Frank Gore. I believe that actually still went on. And Frank Gore, they met together at a bar, and he was signing people's jerseys and whatnot
Nice.
in Denver. So that would have been kind of cool to go to that one and kind of watch the game with like Frank Gore and John Chapman. But yeah. David McNiner, I think he says, "What's up, Ben and Dion?" I think the players don't get in game shape with all the restrictions on practice and preseason. Hey, you are very, 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 very right on that one. That's probably a topic that should be touched more around the NFL because I don't think player condition is really on a lot of content creators, fans' minds. But yes, you hit very good point that is not talked about enough. So thanks for showing up, David McNiner. Appreciate the support. And guys, before we get out of here, I will remind you guys again, I'm going to be doing a stream-a-thon. There'll be a lot of fun activities, bunch of different Niners guests around the NFL, probably within the next few weeks. And I'll be doing an auction. This is when the 49ers first won their first Super Bowl. This is a newspaper copy of when the next day, published the next day. It was given to me by my dad's friend. It's obviously, I believe it's 1982. That was when they won their first Super Bowl. And so that was a published copy of it the next day. That's what I'll be auctioning off. So if you guys share that with your friends, and hey, this has been a very fun show. Go subscribe to Niner Game Podcast, Twitter. Go follow him on why don't you promote him? Yourself.
It's all good, man. It's all good. Hey, just once again, Niner Game Podcast on YouTube, at SwiftD on Twitter, and 49er_Dion on Instagram. Continue to support Ben. He's out here doing great work. And Ben, always remember, man, SeatGeek, it's your best friend. If you ever want to buy tickets, bro, I literally pay for my ticket week by week in advance. Like, just you can stretch out your payments, man. You go through Affirm, you go through Klarna, whatever it's called, and they'll let you pay it like week by week, or every so often.
Yeah, that's usually what we do for.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, because that's the way to go, man. But I appreciate you having me on. I definitely will return the favor and have you come hang out with me on my channel. Whenever you have the time and whenever you are available. Everybody could, man, continue to support this young man. He's out here doing great work.
Thank you. And hey, I was gonna say for that streamathon, I might have you on for a time slot because you seem like you have a lot of cool memories from the 80s, and that's kind of something that I probably want to discuss. So I might have you on as well. So
yeah, all you got to do is hit me up, sir.
Yeah,
I'll be there.
Okay, well, everyone, have a good rest of your night. I'll be posting clips on this show. This has been a great show. I'll be posting clips on this show after, obviously, this will end, and I'll post clips. So watch out for those. We'll see you guys. Have a good rest of your night. Go Niners.
Go Niners.